Good morning, everybody. Today is Monday, August 26, 2024. Just wanted to do a quick tropical update on the Atlantic and possibly something to watch coming this weekend. Maybe a low pressure developing in the Central Atlantic. Euro and GFS over the weekend slowly started to trend towards that way, and ensembles are starting to increase in members. And so, yeah, I think we got something to kind of watch and look for. So just wanted to break it down with you real quick. Right now is the Euro at day, this is day 5, or day 6, I think. I'm sorry, day 6. Excuse me, this is September 1st, Monday. As you can see, the Euro shows some sort of low trying to develop just between 40 and 60 degrees west. And we'll just play this and watch it run through. And you can see that main piece of energy slides to the west, kind of northwest, maybe more west-northwest, and then kind of stops right there. Our last run, you see like the wave kind of cut off there just south of PR, and you got a high pressure developing overhead, trough getting cut off, and another wave behind it here over 40 degrees west. So that's what the Euro is showing in the OP. I'll show you the general GFS as well and take a look at that. Same kind of thinking, except more quicker development. The low pressure kind of develops, but then for some reason the ejection and the OP, it just, the way it breaks it down, it doesn't show a low pressure. You kind of lose it. It doesn't really, like, you kind of see a piece of energy there. We'll be able to locate it in the 700, 300 millibar. You can see the main piece of energy there. Go back, you can kind of follow it as it moves west-northwest into the Eastern Caribbean there, right? So, piece of energy, it's a wave, vorticity, circulation, and the heading into the peak of season. Me personally, I don't like the timing of this. I don't like how things are so quiet, how the models haven't really shown much. The lack of concern from others, people kind of latching on to ideas or beliefs as if the season's canceled, nothing's showing. You know, we had such a high prediction of named storms, ACE. We haven't quite started heading in that direction. So there's a lot of question marks out there right now, a lot of doubts, and understandably so, as it's just a weird pattern one right now. Saw some records break over the Northeast, some cooler air. I know Mitch West, my buddy Mitch West in South Carolina, he had some 50s in the morning in August, mid-August. I mean, just unprecedented. So these things are definitely planting seeds of doubts in the minds of forecasters, the minds of meteorologists, even probably Phil. I'd be even willing to bet Phil is kind of scratching his head, maybe doubting himself. But that's a part of the game. That's a part of forecasting. That's a part of practicing your skill and, you know, dissecting the models. So anyways, I'll open the Euro real quick and show you the Euro and the 300 to 700 millibar humidity and moisture level. And you can see the same kind of thing. A piece of energy and moisture enters into the Eastern Caribbean, cut off from the trough. So likely the high pressure builds overhead. And this continues more of a westerly, northwesterly motion into the Western Caribbean. And from there is when I get concerned, because you know, the reason why I'm concerned with this pattern and that display is the steering currents become extremely weak in the Western Caribbean. You have troughs moving out of the northwest from, you know, Oregon and Washington up there. And, you know, you have that southeasterly flow, like, into the United States, and then, you know, you have your high pressure flow, which is more of a northwesterly flow. And so as those two meet, the southeasterly flow and the northwesterly flow meet, steering gets really weak. Like, you sometimes can see like homegrown spin-ups. Like, you know, that's how we see those homegrowns happen just off of the southeast coast, or even in the Gulf and in the BOC. Actually, some signal has shown that potential to occur. So there's a lot of questions as far as like how the trough moves out and transitions out into the northeast. Does a piece of energy get cut off? How much of that energy gets cut off? How quickly does the high move in? Those are all factors that are into play here. A piece of energy gets cut off further south. Maybe we see a system try to develop into the BOC. If nothing gets cut off to the south, like you can see here, you can clearly see a piece of moisture and energy cut off. You see the high overhead over the northeast near the mid-Atlantic, and it cuts off. You got it building in here, and you got a high pressure cutting off here. So that's going to get cut off right there. And so this piece of moisture is now sliding under the high, and it gets kind of worked into the southeast. And that same flow follows south. So again, this all may attach itself to that general area. So I think the flow would be if this piece of energy was to get into the Western Atlantic, it's going to go north. It's going to go into the southeast. Now, whether it's an actual tropical system or not is the big question mark. The GFS, it doesn't show that. The OP doesn't show that. The OP shows the moisture get pulled, and we just never really get any consolidation. And look, you can see the flow. You see the flow north into Florida. I mean, obviously it makes sense. It attaches to the general flow. So yeah, I mean, that's your general steering idea. But now let's just go into the ensembles. Ensembles are really just a good breakdown of, okay, do we have a legit signal to look for? Like I know we have the moisture there, we have the wave, but is there really something developing? So let's go on. Okay, you can see we're at just beyond day 5. You can see ensembles. You got a weak signature there. You got quite a few ensemble members that are showing, anywhere from 1,014 millibars to 1,010. And so we'll go forward in time, and you start to see that continue to increase. More members join. And so we go down, and it's weird. Like, they join and then they disappear. It's weird. I think that's why the OP gets a little lost. They go away, but then all of a sudden they come back. And we see that kind of pulsating behavior, which is, again, the monsoon trough trying to break down, a piece trying to break off, and eventually get into the Eastern Caribbean or the Northwest Atlantic. And so we move forward. We see that number of increase. That's a pretty strong symbol or signal. Definitely not one to ignore, especially considering the Euro AI has shown a system around here. Even though that's backed off, it's nothing to really play around with. This is peak climo. Peak climo. You just don't take your eyes off of the scoreboard. You got to stay in the game. You got to know where you're at in the game. And so that way you're not caught off guard if something like this were to occur. And then obviously as we get further, you just see the spread. This is beyond day 10. I don't really want to go beyond day 10, so let's go to day 10. It's a pretty large spread. That's why there's a lot of confusion. But as you can see up here, I look at here too, I'm looking for cutoff lows and ensemble support. You have some ensemble support, but there's not a lot of members to support the troughing, to support a weakening in the ridge. So if there was more members suites here, in my opinion, it would make sense for this to really go off to the northeast. And it still does make sense because, again, if there's really no ridging overhead, it's just really a weakness, and you just have low-level flows and no real mid-level steering or upper-level steering. It's kind of like go with the flow kind of thing. So as the storm convection develops and it wraps around the low-level circulation, you have your stadium effect. And I call it the stadium effect because you're climbing stairs, and eventually it just takes that northwesterly trajectory, and as it gets further into the Southwest Atlantic, the Mid-Atlantic, I would say maybe the Western Mid-Atlantic, it feels that trough, and it just goes up north into the Northeast. And so it could recurve, and we very well could see another Ernesto, or something like, I guess, no, Laura's not it. Laura was not it. Forgive me on that. That almost slid out. Would have been a bad example. I think Ernesto is just a really good example. Or we could very well see nothing form, and this piece of energy, this piece of moisture cut off and enter into the Western Caribbean. And this curve type idea, or this development type idea, could just be a little delayed, and we could see this more into the Western Caribbean, more so near 80 West, and then it starts to do that recurve idea, and you see it eventually turn north and to the northeast. Don't know the strength, don't know what it's going to do, won't know the conditions in the Western Caribbean by then. Have a good idea of where the conditions will be near the Lesser Antilles around day 7 and day 10, and I think right now we see a conducive area for development. We have all the ingredients that are there. GFS, shows a good, strong ensemble support as well. So I think the ingredients are there. I think we see something develop, whether it's east of 60 or west of 60 is still yet to be known. I think that's why we watch in real time, and we just see how the monsoon trough breaks down and where the main source of energy is. And yeah, real-time watch this week. I'll keep you guys updated and posted on you know, the updated models as they come out. 12Zs, you know, 18Zs, 00Zs. I look at them all, I dissect them all. You know, like in survey, we have a main oversheet, like a grading plan, and it shows like the kind of the whole job, and then it breaks it down into details. And there's different pages we got to go to and look at the different pages. You got utilities, you got storm, you got sanitary, and they all have these specific details in which the only way to understand the overall way the job's going to get built and how everything's going to work together, you got to look at those little details and you got to read to understand. And so I take those same principles and I apply those into how I look and dissect the models. So you have your OP, which is the overall grading scale of the plans of what's going on, and then you have your ensembles, your 500 millibar steering charts. You have all these different pages or like details that the models break down the different levels. You got your your 700 millibar, you got your 500 millibar, and then you got your lower level, your 925 millibar, you know, your very low level surfaces. And so you really got to see what every different aspect of the atmosphere is doing, because in order for a hurricane to form, those have to align. They can't be moving in different directions. That's how you get stretch waves. That's how you get consolidation in one area or a more tilted system. So there's a lot to watch coming up. But I really wanted to share this with you guys, help you guys maybe understand the models, and so you guys aren't too comfortable and letting your guard down just yet. I really don't want people to let their guard down. I don't think it's wise. But I do, you know, want you guys to know that everything's safe right now. We're okay. There's nothing really of too concern right now, you know, until models really start to grab on or latch on to the idea. I'm not going to express too much worry or concern. But as always, I want to keep you guys in the loop. What I'm seeing, I'm very open-minded, open book kind of guy. If you ask me a question, I'm going to share my thoughts. And so this is what I do. And so anyways, I really appreciate anybody that's taking the time to really listen and understand what I'm trying to say, and just look at the video. It'll be interesting to see how things play out over the next 5 to 7 days. But anyways, God bless. Hope you guys have a great Monday. Take care, and I look forward to creating another video here soon.